Hi, Nico-chan. So we were just playing the intro, and Steve and I are watching it go by, and Steve goes, "Is there anything good in here?" Because sometimes I put some Easter eggs.
Yeah.
I'm like, no,
No.
no, not in this one.
So I had to throw it
The
in.
stupid one. So you get Nico-chan.
Yeah.
Can we get a Nico-chan slight return?
I had yeah, I had it. I had Nico-chan in the wing. Nico-chan can't be here tonight, but
Oh, Nico-chan. Nice touch, man.
yeah, yeah. I'm trying to get organized and think ahead, and it's not. Well, I'm kind of in motivation mode, probably because of this. I became a building contractor for the last 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, this is the way it is for me. It's, you pay experts to come to your house and do what they know how to do. And they hate these customers that come in and go, well, what about that? What about that? I don't do that. I don't do what about that? What about that? I get up on the roof and
You
I
go,
go, I have a question about this. You don't have to do anything, but I have a question about this. Um, if you were afraid that I didn't want to spend the money to fix this thing, you could just tell me that you don't really like that, and an extra $100 would make a big, huge difference. You could tell me that, and I'll agree with that if I think it's legit.
yeah.
And the guy's like, oh, well, now that you mention it, there is 2 or 3 pieces of, slats here that have dry rot on them, and okay, so what do I have to bring in a framer to take those out? He says, oh no, we can do it.
Yeah.
But we just need to get the materials. We don't have the materials for that. Okay. I'll tell you what. Home Depot is 15 minutes away.
I'll be your runner. Yeah.
I'm going to go over there right now. When I get there, make sure that I have a text with the list of the stuff that you need, and I'll get it.
Yeah.
Really? I said, yeah. I'll pick it up right now. You don't have to wait. Okay. And I did that probably 15 times over the past 2 weeks.
That's bananas. Well, tell everybody what you did.
Oh, we put a new roof on our house.
Yeah.
And I could feel and hear myself going through the same dynamic that I go through, starting the idea of a product design and getting it all the way up to, what the packing carton looks like, right? How it fits and all that. I could feel myself doing exactly the same thing, that I could have left certain things alone that nobody would ever see. And even the roofer guy said, nobody's going to see that. And I'm like, nobody's going to see that.
The guy who leaves messages on his PVC boards inside his amp.
Yeah.
For people who happen to venture
I
inside
think the
them.
next PC board message is going to be, nobody's going to see that. So
you building that bathhouse you always
yeah,
wanted?
really. So as it went along, I would go, hey, let's just, the wood on the fascia on that side of the roof is a little warped, and why don't we just replace that? No, okay, yeah, I'll go get it. I'll go get the material. And
you got the whole.
And then when I did that, once I did that, we would have this little discussion. Well, you could just replace the front part because nobody will also see the sides. And we replaced the front part, and now it's really obvious that the side pieces that connect to it are old. And I'm like going,
I'm going to think about that at night.
Yeah.
When you're gone.
And fortunately, I got a long enough piece of wood that there was extra, so we could make the little 2 side pieces that go with it out of this. So I didn't have to go to Home Depot again. And I said, we can just, we got enough extra material. You can just replace that other piece. And the guy who convinced me that it wasn't going to matter before went, yeah, I think you're right. And it went like that for
Yeah.
like the entire week. It was like, and then he started getting on my ride because he's somebody who was taking real pride in his work. We started talking about how he got into the business and how much attention to detail he puts into his work. And he just says, we start talking about, how old are you? I came from Mexico and I've been roofing houses for 38 years. I said, you don't look old enough to have been doing this for 38 years. And turns out he's like 59 or something like that. And he looked much younger. And so we were just like, I said, a lot of people tell me I'm younger than I look younger than I am. And he says, well, that's what happens when you're doing something that you love. And I just went, okay, so now we're totally on the same wavelength. And as a result of that, we got a way better job out of it. And I learned all this stuff that I always tell myself, I don't want to learn anybody else's job. That's just not going to be in the cards for me. I'm always going to want to learn somebody else's job. Are you a meddler? Totally. I don't think it's meddling. It's just I want to understand the logic. And there is a logic to partial home repair, construction, reconstruction, stuff like that, which is
budget.
Which is that, yeah. If you start going down a road and then you go, your two options are to cover it up or fix it. Most people will just cover it up.
Yeah.
But when you see enough things that you can already tell they've been covered up 3 or 4 times, then it's just like, this is how you bust budgets on construction projects. Well, it's the same. It's the same with amp designs. I'll go through, we'll be on a path. The boards are all laid out. We're building a prototype. We're building the production sample. It's just like, yeah, I could get really anal retentive about there's 6 resistors here and 3 of them are going this direction and 3 of them are going this direction. So there's 3 that are perpendicular to the other 3. And it looks nice and compact, but somehow it just irritates the crap out of me that they're...
No, I've been there when you're pointing that out.
Screw it. I want them all to be in a row, and there's enough room. You know what? If I do this, if I take that, put them all in a row, and then move them up and to the right a little bit, then the coupling capacitors going to the grid of this tube stage can go closer to the grid, and that'll be better for noise. And it's 15 minutes, but it's 2 weeks later.
If you don't do that, and you bring the amplifier to production, it's the same thing. You're going to think about that at night. Why didn't I just spend the extra half an hour?
Well, see, I don't build them and I don't test them. So the only time I notice.
Oh no. Did you see John's story? Been working for a week and a half, sewage backup. Good Lord.
Ooh.
To tear down the studio, pack and move all your guitars and amps. Oh, and you're rebuilding the basement because... Brother.
Oh,
Ugh.
Michael Nielsen, his studio got flooded and he had to tear up in the old studio that he...
Oh, the one in the house?
Yeah. Yeah. That thing that got... there was a pipe broke or something like that. And he was like, oh man, it was a terrible...
How long ago?
About 1.5 years, 2 years, just before he sold it.
Oh, okay. Maybe he told me that and I...
Sewage is a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah, but now that studio is going to be real funky. Okay, sorry, that was bad. So now you have a new roof and now you feel invigorated and ready to get back to the salt mines and create and build. And,
well, I never want to see a nail as long as I live.
Because you really kind of had to post up here for most of the last 2 weeks, right? Because that was going on.
Yeah.
So how often were you actually in the shop versus being here?
I was here for almost 2 straight weeks.
Oh, shit. So you're chomping to get back
Well,
in.
also we had a contractor that turned out to be a fucking idiot.
Oh yeah,
And
there was
I fired him.
contractor number one and
Yeah,
contractor
and I
number
fired
two.
him. I mean, I didn't put up with. I couldn't put up with incompetence, and the guy I'd known him for a long time, and he'd always been helpful, and he was recommended by somebody else, and so I just figured, you know, it's not going to be a problem. Well, it turned out to be a really big problem, and I just stopped before they got the roof torn off. They got all the insulation taken out. They were starting to fix the stuff underneath before they put the plywood on the top. They started doing these little, repairs and reinforcements and things like that. And he was just doing a half-ass job. And I had discussed that with him going before they even started the work. And he said, we could do it the cheap way or we could do it the nice way. And I want you to do it the nice way. Well, you know that's going to require extra material because we're going to cut it back farther. We're going to do blah, blah. Yes, I understand that. That's what I want you to do. And then I go there the next day, and one of the guys on the crew is doing it the shit way.
Oh.
And I'm like, hold the show. Hey, come over here. And I get the guy, the supervisor over, and I said, why is he doing that? Oh, well, he's doing the blah, 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 blah. Did we not just talk yesterday that we're not going to do it the shit way? Oh, yeah, well, which way do you want to do it? And I said, about this yesterday.
I can't
This
believe
guy's
you're
now,
wrong
he's
for a
pushing
minute.
all my buttons. Did we not have this conversation not 24 hours ago?
Yeah.
And that was the first of about 10 of those episodes, and I finally just my next door neighbor has a cousin who's a contractor, and they're rebuilding homes, and they're building, rental units and things like that. So, and they're like this, and they're moving all the time, and they got the best people working with them, and I didn't want to go pester them. Hey, I need some advice. I didn't want to be that pesky neighbor. So, and my neighbor is really cool. He's an Armenian guy. Kind of looks like Robert De Niro.
Oh, I've seen him.
We call him the Armenian Robert, the Armenian De Niro. He comes out in the morning, every morning, to watch
The work going on.
the work going on in a powder blue bathrobe and a cigarette. Always the cigarette.
Oh yeah.
Never without the cigarette. And he's like this. and I come out and hey John, how you doing? He's like, and then the next day it's a burgundy
Bathrobe?
bathrobe.
Yeah.
And then the next day it's like a dark gray. So he's got a wardrobe of bathrobes to come out and wander around in the neighborhood with his cigarette. He's just such a crack up.
He's a character.
And
I met him.
And so I came out of the house, and these guys kept showing up late to work, and they missed about 4 or 5 days. They kept saying, we're going to be there at 7, we're going to be there at 8, and like 4 or 5 days, they never even showed up. And I came out expecting this guy was going to drive up any minute, and he didn't. And De Niro's out there, and he's kind of like looking at my house. And I go, "Sup, John?" He goes, "Why are they not working?
Uh-huh.
Why where are these guys?" And I go, "Yeah, that's a good question." He goes, "They should have been done by now." And I go, "Yeah, I know. And he says, "Oh, that's not good." And I said, "Well, I know, but I'm trying to deal it with myself. I didn't want to bother you with my, this shit." He goes, "Oh, no. You're a neighbor. You're a good neighbor. You don't need this. You don't need this." And he brings his partner over and says, and he says, and the other guy's going, yeah, it's why are they not working? And they're like, they're more angry than I am, I think.
Yeah, well, it's their domain, and they're like, "Why aren't they doing it
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You want to do
yeah.
it right? Do it right."
And so he brought over his framer, his roofer, and his electrician. About an hour later, he brought all these guys over and convened in my front yard. And the head guy, the contractor, the head guy that actually doing these projects, financing these projects, he goes, "This is going to be your roofer, this is going to be your framer, and this is going to be your electrician. You guys, now listen to me. This guy is a good neighbor. You charge him, you charge you my contractor price, and you get this shit done. Okay? Everybody on board with this?" And I go, "Holy fuck." And I said, "You don't have to do it." He says, "No, no, no. This is stupid. This is not right. This is not right." And he's got a cigarette too. So they're like both furiously, inhaling on their cigarettes.
Yeah, but do they both have robes?
No, no. Only John has the robe. But
You need a robe.
yeah, well, yeah. I got one. I just don't wear it outside. But oh my God, those guys just jumped to, like, "Yes, sir." And they went to town. There's a guy comes over and he's like, the front porch, some of the beams, had a little bit of dry rot and and he goes, take it out. We'll just take it out. And the other guy's going, "Well, we should actually get a permit for this." He goes, "No, we're just going to get it rebuilt. We're not going to completely tear it down. We're just going to rebuild it with new beams, and we'll pour a better cement foundation, and it'll be done before anybody has a chance to come over here and figure out if we did it right or not, because it's going to be done right." So they're not going to, I know all the inspectors, the city inspectors. They come to my properties every week. I know all the guys, and I'm just going to tell them, "Hey, this was just a favor for a friend." He says, "You don't have to worry about that." And I just went, wow. So they went to town. So now,
So wait, what happened to contractor number one?
I just said, "I'm sorry."
You called him up?
Yep, sorry. I said, "You're not going to get this done before the next rainstorm." And it's obvious that you're not going to get it done before the next rainstorm, and you're not going to get it done right. And the day that I told him that was the day that he did show up with roofing tiles that were the cheapest seconds garbage roofing tiles. I said, "What is this?" He goes, "What's your roofing tiles?" I said, I pulled out my phone and I said, this is the link to the roofing tiles that you sent me, that we agreed on. These really high quality ones with the 25-year guarantee and all that. And that are a bunch of packages that say no warranty on it. Those are seconds. I'm not going to use those. Oh, one of the same thing. I said, "Okay, you're done. Sorry, you're done. Just forget it. Pick up your tools and get out of here." And
You should have done that in your bathrobe with your
I
cigarette.
should have done it in the bathrobe. That would have been awesome. But no, I was already trying to keep myself from murdering somebody every day. So now that the guy that was supposedly the contractor that knew exactly what to do was gone, I have to daily communicate to these new guys, what do you want us to do here? What do you want us to do there? Because there was a plan, but they weren't in on it.
Right.
So
right.
now I have to,
You're catching them up while they're working.
and I'm catching up. I'm trying to, okay, what part of this? Oh yeah, that's right. We're going to do this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at all my messages and my notes and all this stuff. And I'm having to remember everything that we had discussed that we were going to do and how and why and all that, and communicate it to all these other guys. And it was, so I ended up being here a week and a half while doing, my work. And, well, it was a exciting experience. I actually learned quite a lot, and it ended up being a lot of fun. And we got a killer roof, and we got some other work that we're doing on it that's going to be really nice. And but man, the whole process, I could see myself doing the same process that I'm doing on inside a little metal box on a workbench on a daily basis. This here, why did I do this way again? Oh yeah, that's why I did that. No, you know what? That was a stupid idea. Screw that. Blah, 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 blah. I could just see myself going through this. And the other thing that always happens to me is when I get close to the end, whether it's writing a manual or designing a product, when I get to the end of the project,
Yeah.
the little things that were microscopic that shouldn't really bother you,
They bloom.
they bloom. They boil to the
Giant
top.
monsters.
They boil.
And they slow your shit
They
down.
boil their way to the top.
Yeah.
Because they were small by comparison to the big project. They were not practically non-existent. But when you get to the end of the project, then everything else is perfect, and the imperfections rise to the top, and then you have to confront them.
And I can't go for that. Fix 'em.
And then I go, and that always happens throughout the process. But usually the things that I think are gonna annoy me later are usually annoying enough early on that they get addressed. But there's always something.
Well, it's like the little flashing left. No. That needs to go.
Yeah.
Let's replace that.
Yeah, you know how many
the-
times you proofread a document that you wrote that's like 2 pages long or something, and no matter how many times you proofread it, you find a comma or a period or an extra space or
Like, what headspace was I in that I voiced it that way? It's wrong now. Like 5 minutes later, you read it over. Why did I need to reverse those clauses? And you just
Wait a minute.
and then
The
what
LED
happens
hole
then?
isn't exactly between those two pots the way it's supposed to be.
I know what you
So-
do at that point, actually. You normally call in someone like me or someone else kind of in the local community. You're like,
Could you read this?
I've
Could you listen to this?
yeah, please come in here. I've been in a room working on this thing I can't tell. Does it sound like shit? Or, I think it's good.
Because by that
could you-
time the entire project is like it's like an octopus, and the tentacles are just going into my brain and squeezing out all my blood circulation, and I can't focus on it. I have no perspective anymore. And so, Joe, before I hang myself, I need you to play through this and tell me that I'm either insane or that you hear something that is noticeable enough that you can tell me I'm not insane. And
That's fun. That's fun for me.
it's actually exasperating for me because you go, I don't even know what you're talking about. What do you even hear?
Not always. Though.
Yeah, you do it every once in a while.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm certainly not blowing smoke because the thing is whatever you bring to market, I'm going to wind up playing and probably having to demonstrate or do a video on. So it's got to be good because I won't have to explain away. Well, you know what I mean? Like, but normally what it really is just you've been disappearing up your own behind, but it's still really good, and you just need somebody to come in and kind of co-sign on it. But the first time that there was a little something in there that we wound up sorting was the GPDI IR.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah, there was one little high frequency thing that was bugging me.
well, plus the overall gainy thing, and it was like it's very cool. It's way bigger this way. But it's a little too wild.
Yeah.
And it was like,
yeah.
oh,
I'm reading some of the comments and they're cracking me up. I don't think Steve's had a day off since 1995, and that would be just about right. Except I did take the first extended vacation ever in my life, about a month ago. You should do a tube fuzz pedal, and somebody else goes, the SAS is a tube fuzz, and so I'm glad you guys are like out there duking it out on your own. Steve should do a tube microphone also. Well, that's a whole different headspace, microphones. I don't know if that's something that would intrigue me enough to get into doing it, but I never know. But he says should also create an amp with Mike Soldano and or Randall Smith. And what made me chuckle about that is that's what I feel like I've already done. We didn't collaborate directly together, but
the 2CP, is that what it was called?
yeah, but not even that. It was doing what we do is a direct result of observing what
Well,
those
yeah,
guys do.
and let me just real quickly say, for those of you who haven't, and why would you, I've sat through every episode of the Mals. Um, both of those two men, those two gentlemen, Mike Soldano and Randy Smith, figured mightily into getting to this stage.
Yeah.
I think your story about getting your hands on an SLO 100 is like, I'm looking for this amp to like solve my life,
My musical
basically.
problem.
And like, I've been hearing about this SLO 100, and obviously the amp's great, it's legendary, but you got your hands on it and you went, no, this isn't it. Fuck, I'm going to have to build my own amp. That was the amp that kind of
That was the last straw.
the last straw.
Yeah.
But then so much of what you had been learning from amps, and certainly channel switching amps, had come from your Valley Arts days dealing with all the early Mark series, right?
Right.
And like reverse engineering that stuff and having dialogue with Randy. And so when it comes time to design the Pitbull, you're like, oh, I got these two guys in my ear, even though they're not present.
Right.
Like, I'm dialoguing with them still, and that's still
Like-
in there.
Like, okay,
Same with Dave Reeves.
this is how they solve these puzzles. This is how they
Yeah.
approach this assembly procedure. And these are the list of things that I would never do this way. I wouldn't do this way. So it's like a de facto collaboration in that you sort of unwind when you see inside and you go, okay, I understand the zeitgeist in here. I understand why they did this oddball thing. That's part of their personality.
It winds up being, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so if I was just sitting in a, you know what would happen if Randall Smith and I was sitting in the room trying to design an amp, we would end up just duking it out on the floor about 3 times a day.
I think you would.
Probably wouldn't be like that. It would probably be more like, why don't we just go get a drink and talk
Yeah.
about it?
I
And
think
then start throwing furniture around.
you and Reinhold would be more likely in reality to do an amp together, and I think you guys would. The same thing would happen. In all,
I
love.
definitely would have my hands around his throat.
And I'm just saying, because you're kind of down the road from each other and you know
Yeah.
each other so well.
Yeah.
We still need to get him on the damn show.
Yeah. Well, he has this wonderful way of explaining his logic behind a certain aspect of his design. So when I listened to he came by my booth at NAMM and he says, "Hey, have you checked out my Uberschall yet? It's over at my booth." And I said, "Oh, I'll be over." And I went over and checked out Reinhold.
And then producing 2 different amps.
Yeah,
That's how project
yeah,
would go.
exactly,
Very,
exactly.
Very, very good, Mark.
And so I went over and I went, "Oh, okay, so this is Reinhold's interpretation of an Ultra Lead. Great."
Ah!
And I plugged it in and I was playing through it. I'm going, "Yeah, wow, this is interesting." But way more gain than I would ever put in an amp, because I don't think that much gain serves any purpose at some point, but I understand why he's doing it. And then I go to the clean channel and it's just ghastly and unusable. And he said, "What do you think?" And I said, "I get why you're doing the overdrive channel the way you are. I wish that I could." I think I said something like, "I wish I could be as cynical as you about how much gain people actually need, but I just don't think it's necessary for that much gain, given how much noise in the background it generates." And I don't think, but I understand that when you give somebody way, way, way more than they need, they'll turn it down to a sane level anyway at some point, right?
And then they can't complain anymore.
They can't complain. I'm the one that's not going to put any extra shit in there that's going to add noise or take it to some ridiculous extreme that nobody's going to use just so they can not use it. And I said, and by the way, what's up with the clean channel? And he goes, "Oh, fuck that." That's what his explanation about the clean channel. "Oh, fuck that. I just threw it in there just to shut people up so I could say it had a clean channel."
Hey, Liz, looks like did you change your handle? You flipped your name? Am I wrong about that? It looks fresh. Well, you know what, guys? You're asking questions. We're going to get to all of them. We
Yeah, we're
normally
going to
do that
stop
in the back
talking
half
about
of the show.
construction and collaborations and talk about
Yeah, normally we do the bullshitting for 15 to 20. We're at 30. So now we must talk about the subject at hand.
and
Combo amps.
what's really great about the subject is you posted the show notice on Facebook, and all these people commented, and that post got a lot more Facebook comments than our show posts usually get. And what was really interesting about it is they were pretty much all of the but it's like the justification for using a combo wasn't like, well, that's just what you use because they're wonderful. Who would even dispute that? It wasn't like that. There were comments like, yeah, but it's small and convenient. Yeah, but it's less expensive. Yeah, but I don't really have the space for the big thing, and I don't play that out live that much anymore. I just do it for my own enjoyment, and I just want the voicing and the deliverance in the little box. That's what I'm waiting for. I would love to buy a deliverance half stack, but I would never use it. And so most of the comments about the combos in those responses were the acknowledgement of the compromises that you make to get some semblance of the big amp performance into the little box. So going forward in time from when combos
Ruled the world.
They were just little appliances for.
Well, that's where guitar amplification started.
Yeah, they started
The
from
little Gibsons, the Standells.
right.
the
It's all
Supros,
it's all in a little.
because fucking rock and roll in a large venue like hadn't been invented yet.
Right,
So
right.
I think if we start to talk about it's not really the modern era now, but like the dawn of the 60s, and we start getting into, let's say, surf guitar, because I think that's when guitar started entering larger rooms, at least in Southern California. That's how you wind up with like Dick Dale
Right.
in the Showmans and the
Right.
dual Showmans and everything.
And you know what's really funny? Actually,
No.
there's a little thing. I remember reading it when I was at a music store in Seattle when I was about 15 or 16. I was flipping through the Fender catalog. And in the back of the catalog, there's the accessory section.
Yeah.
And there was like a Showman cabinet, I think, that there was an accessory back covers for the Showman cab so you could make it open back.
Oh, interesting.
This was like in 66, 67. And I went and Googled Fender catalogs looking for all the Fender catalogs I could find from like 1960 to 66, 68, and I couldn't find it. But I distinctly remember that there was an accessory back cover that you could buy for one of the Fender
I
cabinets.
did not know that.
And the reason I remember it is because it was some insane amount of money.
Oh, even back then?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like $150 or
Oh,
something.
because the cabinet itself cost what back
3,
then?
4, yeah, 300.
It's like a third of the goddamn.
And I went, what the hell? But who would pay $150 for a piece of plywood, 4x6, whatever?
Wow.
And Fender had an interesting trajectory because as amps are getting progressively more powerful, the speakers have to start being developed that are also more powerful. But what was happening was that the higher performance speakers weren't necessarily these big tanks. They looked like tanks, they felt like tanks, but they weren't actually tanks. They were actually relatively low-powered speakers, and they would die just as easily in an open back cab as a greenback. If you slam them, in fact, in some cases, they would break easier than a greenback because they had a higher sensitivity and they were more efficient.
That makes sense.
And so you could tear them up more.
Yeah.
And I remember Pat Quilter telling me that he says, oh, people just tore up D120s all the time.
Huh.
And Fender were putting bigger speakers than the Twin, trying to get them to hold together. And that wasn't the problem. The problem was that the amps didn't have enough damping factor and they were open back. So you could just bottom out the speakers all the time. It was really easy to do. So there was like overheating the voice coil, but there was also just mechanically smashing the voice coil into the bottom of the magnet gap, the voice coil gap.
Yeah.
And that would tear up the speaker too. So there was always these sort of reliability things. But going back from the very early days where it was a little thing that you'd sit on the stage on the bandstand and everybody else is playing acoustically, so you don't have the
exactly. Let's talk about the dawn of electric guitar.
Right.
It was with big bands.
Right.
So you're competing with horn sections, not fucking rock drums, John Bonham yet.
Right.
Not,
a guy with brushes.
Yeah, exactly. So you're getting up and above that with your acoustic guitar. Acoustic guitar versus brass section, it's over with. You lose.
Yeah.
You get a little combo. Okay, I can kind of compete. Junk, 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 junk. I'm good. Okay, then rhythm and blues, the end of the 50s. And Chicago blues.
Right.
These guitarists coming up. And at the same time, it's funny. I don't think they're related at all. Like the surf scene and Chicago blues. But in my mind, these are the people that are coming up and going, we're going to feature the goddamn electric guitar. Right?
Right.
And the drums move away from the time being kept on the ride. And it's like, no, we're putting time in the snare and the kick drum, and it's going to be loud. And then early rock and roll becomes this craze with the kids. They're playing the bigger rooms. You're slamming the drums instead of this. And then it's like, all of a sudden my little combo isn't keeping up so much with this massive room. So then we get Leo going, all right, well, let's build, what was the name? I always forget his name. Bill, what's his name? He worked with Fender forever. He played in a Western swing band. Bill Carson. Yeah, guys like that, like the touring guitar players who kept going back to Leo and going, hey, cool amp. Needs to be bigger. We're playing these big barns out in the middle of the country. And then moving into the late 50s, then it's the English bands. The Who, Eric Clapton, these guys going, I guess we're rock stars now. We're playing these big fucking venues.
But they started out
to be loud.
But they started out, even the Who, they started out as a little pop band with these rinky-dink little amps.
Totally.
Right?
Same as, the Beatles.
They started out with rinky-dink little amps, little
Playing in
Selmers,
little cellars.
That, right? And then when they got a little bit of money, they got the big one. We can afford the nice big one. Yeah. The big one, of course, is an AC30. Right? And it has a stand on it. I remember the first time I saw the Beatles, they had these cool amps on chrome stands. Fuck the amp. The chrome stand. I was like all about the chrome stand. Every amp should have a chrome stand. But then it turned out that it only really looked good on Vox amps because other companies tried it and it just was like, no, we don't need that. But they got the newest thing. And then the next thing after, as in the evolution of their music, just like everybody else playing bigger venues and needing more power, well, the Beatles weren't really doing that because they stopped playing live.
66.
But they just bought the latest stuff because they could get the latest stuff. So they start using twin reverbs, not because they're loud, not because they're trying to get it over on a big audience, because they're the new thing. They're in the recording studio and they haul them up on the roof, and anybody knows that's ever played outside is that guitars, even the smallest guitar amp carries for miles outside.
Yeah.
So they didn't need big amps to go play on the roof during lunch hour for 20
But
minutes.
still, you know, the
But they
Beatles,
had him up there.
the Beatles are about their songs. They're not
Right.
about pushing the envelope sonically.
Yeah, they're not about
The
subtle
Who?
guitar tones and stuff like Pete Townsend's.
The
That's a
Who
whole
is like,
different.
we're gonna blow up the universe.
Yeah, he's going back to Jim Marshall and David Reeves every week, going more, bigger,
Yes, yeah,
clean. I want this to sound like 10 tween reverb.
yeah.
He wasn't trying to get this big British high gain, mid rangey sound.
No.
He just wanted, and he even said in an interview, he said all the high watts were just kind of like a top end Fender.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking
Right.
for. Just I want it more Fender than Fender.
Right.
10 times more Fender than Fender.
And you could argue that they succeeded,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And if you said that to him, he'd go, "What?"
Nice one. You pay a price. You
Yeah.
do pay a
You
price.
pay a price. We all pay a price.
And then Eric wants to sound like, I don't know, a horn and a harmonica,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And then Jimmy comes along and goes,
Let me show you a little trick I learned.
I don't think you're ready for this. Yeah, and then I think the real reductionist version of the whole thing was that the what did they used to call it in the 80s? Like the arms race? Yeah, the arms race.
Yeah.
Yeah, the arms race.
Yeah.
The wattage arms race was really precipitated by bigger rooms and really poor sound reinforcement. And that's
Right.
kind of where it started.
Right.
But then these guys learn, oh shit, we can get incredible sounds out of this that you can't get out of the little guy. I need this no matter what.
But there was
Right?
also this funny little offshoot of the transition from combos to big amps, and that was big combos.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like when Fender Twin comes out, then the British companies go, "Oh, we can beat that," and
Yeah.
so High Watt comes out with a 412 100-watt combo,
Combo.
170.
What are we doing?
170 pounds. I have one. Actually have the 50-watt one. I have a 100-watt Selmer.
That's right.
It's the Tremolo 100. Doesn't have reverb. It's got tremolo. It's really hilarious.
What year is that from?
It's got to be 65, 66.
We spent an afternoon kind of beating that thing out.
Yeah, it had Goodman speakers in it.
And doesn't it have like these buttons that like change?
Yeah, it's got the 6 buttons, like
Yeah.
on the Studebaker dashboard for selecting the gears.
Yeah,
And it's
like
got
different
six-
EQ
Six or eight
filters.
buttons on them, right? And like, of course, there's only one that actually has
Right.
any use.
Right. Everything else just sounds like
Kind of like the reverse Mesa versatility idea, which is let's just make 6 settings sound like dog shit, so the setting any practical guitar player would ever use sounds like, oh yeah, that's the one I would use. And but that's a Selmer 100-watt, and it's clean. It's not an amp that you can overdrive. You just keep turning up and it keeps getting louder and louder and louder.
Yeah.
And not fatter,
No.
not fuller,
No.
just louder. And those Goodman speakers are not the kind of speakers that make this sort of musical groan when you're pushing them. They
Yeah.
just start going gug, 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 and there's nothing pleasant about it. But they look fantastic, you know. And,
Yeah, they look super.
and that's what was it. So this arms race took this funny little,
Yeah.
you know, side
Yeah.
adventure where it soon became apparent that this strain of amplifier development was just a complete bust.
Yeah.
But
Right.
enough amplifiers got made for you to know that, you know,
The Super Beetle was sort of a
yeah,
precursor.
there were enough amplifiers built like that for you to know that
This isn't a pathway. This is a cul-de-sac.
Yeah,
Turn
yeah,
back around.
yeah.
Get the hell out of here. Get back on the freeway.
yeah, seriously. And I started out, as a drummer, I started out playing through a little guitar amp because my brother played guitar first,
Right
and
there.
he got a little Supro amp, and Of course, I took it apart because it had tubes and it got hot and it had electricity inside. And if you played your cards right, you could probably make it blow up and catch on fire.
Yeah.
And that was like, my goal in life at 13, um, or 10 or 12 or whatever age I was. But I sort of fell into this thing where when I switched to guitar and I started to play guitar and I realizing, well, you just need just a good sounding half stack to do the kind of music that I was doing. But in the transition from that, I had a couple of little things like a little National 5-watt amp and a couple of other little things that when I would go to a music store and try an overdrive pedal, a distortion pedal or something like that, a fuzz or whatever, I didn't get it. I didn't get excited by that. But when I played through that little amp and turned it all the way up, I went, oh, that's and
that's so interesting.
That's what really, I think that's why I never fully embraced the pedal concept, because just take a little amp and use that and pad the output down and plug that into the front of your amp. And I actually did that, and I went, yeah, that's a great way to do it. It's not going to be that practical, but boy, is a lot of fun. And I did bring that. I did do that with I made a touring rig that I used for a number of years, where I got a Super Champ, and the Super Champ was one of the last.
This is much later.
Yeah, but that was one of the last amps of that ilk, where it sounded good, just full right hand sweep dimed
in a combo package.
Yeah,
that's
the Super
wild.
Champ. It was a little tiny thing, had an EV Force 10 in it, and you just turned it all the way up, and it was like great. And everybody, like session players, Lukather bought a few of them, and everybody bought those because they were just such a blast to play.
Was that a Rivera?
That was the Rivera era, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It was basically the way Fender worked is they have an engineering department where the engineers have engineering degrees.
Yes.
And they're the only people that are allowed to occupy
they're the engineers.
That gig at Fender.
But they don't understand what guitar players want.
So they would hire guys that had
like Paul.
Paul didn't have an engineering degree. I don't have an engineering degree.
Paul's son what guitar players wanted.
Right. So in order for that to work, same with Zinke, the way for that to work, they figured out, okay, well, you're going to be vice president of marketing or something like that. We're going to put you in a position that we can hire you for where we don't have to worry about your technical ability, and you're going to feed us your ideas. And then
it's a creative director.
Yeah, exactly. And then our engineer guys are going to interpret what you did
and make it real.
Yeah. Only in Rivera's case, the things that he brought them, which they weren't just concepts, they were actually modified Fenders that everybody was using because he figured out how to make them sound good.
Which, by the way, callback, Paul Rivera is another guy speaking in your ear, whether he's in the room or not, because I know he figures really big into your journey.
Yeah.
Development.
Don't pick up a transformer by the wires, you idiot. Okay, I won't do that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And he would say things to me like, hey, I'm reading this book about op amp buffers and blah blah blah, and it just seems like a lot of mind-numbing detail to get from point A to point B. I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm going, can I just do this? And he goes, yeah, just a bunch of verbiage. Ignore that shit. Just go with your instinct. You're on the right track. And I went,
that's what Paul told you?
Yeah. I went, oh, okay. But so he takes these samples to Fender, and the engineering department figures out how to do them the right way, and consequently, the only really great Rivera era Fender amps is the Super Tramp, because that's the one that was closest to the modded amps that he did.
Interesting.
And when you cranked it, it was on fire. And so that's fast forwarding quite a bit, but that whole thing about these little amps because they're all back, you know. I mean, people still appreciate them more. And you know, Jimmy Page used little amps in the studio. Dean DeLeo uses little amps in the studio. He's uh,
Well, so you and I talked about this coming. We came at it from almost 180-degree different spaces. You came into playing music kind of from like, I'm a band guy. I'm in my own band. I'm dictating my own sonic space. And I'm playing showcases. I'm playing my own gigs. I'm playing rock rooms and this sort of thing. And like, yeah, I'm here to play with my tone.
right.
And it's going to be big, fucking big. It's going to fill the room. I came at it from when I got started playing professionally, it was I'm getting hired to play in a reggae band. And then I'm getting hired to back a singer-songwriter. And then I'm getting, you know, I'm playing a little jazz gig. And I'm playing in all of these different contexts where they're like, dude, if you walk in with a large amp, people are like, what the get this guy out of here. So
I like this. I like this comment. My brother is babysitting his friend's old twin reverb, and he's a bit frightened of it for home use. Well, those were the days that a
power
Fender
station,
twin,
my friend.
a Fender Twin wasn't designed for you to take it home and play it at home. If you went to a music store that was a Fender dealership and said, "I just play at home," and they'll go,
We have a Champ or a Princeton.
A Princeton, or maybe worst case, maybe in the most extreme case, a deluxe reverb.
That's still overkill, man.
But a Princeton or a Champ would be right up your alley.
I paid my bills with my 65 deluxe
yeah,
for at least 15 years. And then,
which is a testament to how much power you don't need.
Well, and then we get into the question of like, what era did I come up in?
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a lot of gigs where, yeah, I'm showing up with my deluxe reverb, but I can stick a mic in front of it.
Yeah.
And then I have a wedge aimed at my head and it's nice and big.
Yeah.
And I can't, the amount of times that I, sound checking, step out in front of stage is like, my little deluxe sounds like Stevie Ray Vaughan. I've just blown up through the PA. You know what I mean? So it worked, but that was the time period that I started playing in. Was sound reinforcement was a mature technology at that point, right?
Yeah.
Amanda, hi. You have a different name of your channel because Alyssa came on here and her name's different, and now Amanda has a different name. And Alyssa says that she didn't do it on purpose. Like, what's happening?
The earth is shifting.
I'm gonna go get a little bit more drinky drink.
I did a gig with a Princeton.
Whoa.
And it was in a pretty big club, but the stage was really small. And it was one of those places where the bartender was constantly bitching about the volume of the band, and in particular the volume of the guitar player. And it was the kind of place that you did like 4 sets or so, and it was kind of a cavernous place. Wood floors, big dance floor. It was in Whittier, big place. I can't remember the name of it right now.
Oh, wait a minute. I might have played there.
There's an entranceway to the parking lot that's over the parking lot. It's like a big gateway that goes into the parking lot.
Oh, what is that
and
called?
a big dance floor.
Is that JT's Beach Club or something?
I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
I think I know what you're talking about.
But that thing filled that place until people started filling out the place and getting in dance floor. And then I just went, disappeared completely.
Right.
But it was amazing how much I got away with using that rig in these little pickup gigs like that, where I didn't really need much of anything, but it was purely out of practicality. I had just moved down here. I didn't want to haul all my big gear down here. The gig didn't really call for it yet. And so I was just basically using this little stuff, and it was all for all those same reasons. It's it'll fit on the stage. It's easy to haul around. I'm not really pursuing tone. I'm just playing the songs, and it's just fine for that. But it did sort of, you always felt the limitations. You always felt like you were playing. There's no perfectionism with a little combo, unless you're in the perfect environment for
That's a fact.
the little combo to work. If you're in a general environment, which is like when there's drummers present or any kind of a gig, it's always a compromise, and the open back thing is always an issue. On the other hand, if your goal, like mine is sometimes, is just to kick the shit out of it for the fun of it, then they're perfect. They're great. It's great. I always enjoy taking a little amp and throttling it just to see what it morphs into when you do that.
Yeah.
And whenever we make a little combo, and we haven't made a little combo for a long time, and I realized that I've gotten out of the mental mojo of making a little combo expression, because I haven't been playing much for a long time, and when we would do a combo, I would take it out and I would gig with it, and I would crank it, and I would make sure that the people in the band were going, "Oh, what's that?" They didn't have to say it sounded great. They didn't have to say, "Oh, you're killing, you're awesome." All they had to do was say,
"Well, what's that?" Implies they can hear it on the gig.
What it implies
is a good thing.
That what they're not saying, that's tinny, the reverb sucks,
Where'd you go?
The low end is flatulent or something like that. They would just go, "Oh, that's great." I remember one time going to a rehearsal, and they had a Hot Rod Deluxe at the rehearsal place.
40 watts.
So I sat my rig up next to that, and I put the hot rod next to my rig, and I plugged into the hot rod.
Yeah.
And I was playing through it, and I'm like going, it's just not going to cut it. The overdrive is okay, but the mid gain stuff, it wasn't cutting it for me at all. It was tubby. But I had it turned on, and I had a cable plugged into it, and so I ran another cable around behind it and into my regular amp. And so we're playing, and the drummer kept giving me this quizzical expression, like, "What are you doing over there?" I said, "Oh, what?" He goes, "Well, what are you actually playing through?" I said, "Why?" And he says, "Because if you're playing through that little Fender, that's the best sounding Hot Rod Deluxe I've ever heard."
Yeah.
And so I said, "Oh, let's see." So I unplugged everything and just plugged through the hot rod, and he goes, "Oh yeah, there's that hot rod sound. I hate that." Blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, it's an environment. It's a dynamic where you play within the limitations of it. I don't like my gear to be the limiting factor.
Oh man,
So
well,
when I
the amount of
play through-
times that I had to play through Hot Rod Deluxes and Hot Rod DeVilles because that was the back line.
And that's what every touring guitar player will tell you. It's like, I'm so glad to be off tour and back in town playing some local gigs so I can use my own
Bring
gear.
my shit.
Because all I played through...
But you learn to coexist with those two.
Yeah, all I played through was broken Twins, broken Hot Rod Deluxes, and
the occasional shit JCM 900 with awful speakers.
Yeah, or a JC 120 with a blown speaker or something like that. And
120.
everything was always like broken. Yeah, I just got back from the tour in Hungary, and I played through broken.
That is an amplifier, the JC 120, that I can confidently say I never learned to get other than the pristine chorusy clean.
Right.
Like, I know you hate the term pedal platform, but the Hot Rod series is a nice general flat with a little bit of sparkle amp it would work with my pedal board. Those jazz choruses, man, it's like oil and water. Like whatever you put on it would not do this. It wouldn't do this. It would just sit on it. It's like I have this really clean, sterile thing with some awful tube screamer nonsense on top of it.
I was always in awe of what
not Adrian Ballou.
What Adrian Ballou
He's
could
the
do
guy.
with
He's the
that
one guy.
amplifier. He's the only guy that ever played that made
Could
me
make
go,
it sound like
okay,
oh,
now
shit.
if he can do it, that means that anybody can do it.
100%.
You know, it's
100%.
not that magic, but of course he was doing it with distortion pedals and so on and so
But still,
forth.
I couldn't do that with what I had. I mean, he really made it work for him. By the way, I went to the Tam O'Shanter this week,
Oh yeah?
and my buddy Jake is the head of the bar program there. And the cocktail, he's a cocktail whiz. And the featured cocktail in there right now is called the King Crimson. I'm like, yeah, dude. Yeah, it's pretty great. Anyway, so we're talking. Where did we get off? I thought we were kind of at 1970, where it was going to split into, you know, kind of jobbing guitar players and their little combos, and then rock stars who had stacks, right?
Right. Well, but I think that the whole stack thing, the big powerful amp thing, speaks for itself. I don't even know that. I think the reason that we started talking about the combo thing is because I'm just going to say it. I'm using this as a justification to start getting my brain synchronized to produce
Okay.
Small amps.
This is kind of the point, right? That we're
Well,
getting at.
yeah, it's kind of my insecurity that if I don't think about something for a long enough time,
Then you won't have a grip on it,
that's right.
and then you'd make shit.
And so I have to go back and second guess everything, and then I'll talk to somebody like anybody that uses like the Pitbull 45. They just
Yeah.
go, just make that again. That was the most amazing thing. And every once in a while one comes in for a repair or something, and I'll play through it and I'll go, shit, what the hell was I worried about? This thing kicks ass, you know. But with the whole thing with this is a different time now. So that was an amp that came out in the early, you know, the mid 90s, and a combo amp that we might make today is going to be a different animal.
So I
am spending a lot of time trying to get myself in the headspace of what is that, what would it be, how would it be implemented, and not just be what I think happens in the marketplace a lot, which was we'll just take the old thing and we'll stick a couple of features on new features on it.
That's
and,
antithetical to the whole Fryette
right,
ethos.
Right.
So I want to bring everybody up to speed who either doesn't remember or who wasn't here. I think what you're alluding to is when you went to the Guitar Summit, you were bumping into a fair amount of people who were like, we need a Fryette combo. And you were going, oh, maybe it's time. So we kind of started talking about that.
That
right?
actually, yeah, you're right. That actually triggered it because I was just thinking, it's a lot. There are a lot of offerings in that combo range out there, and I was just thinking, well, with so many companies making all these, you know, cool little varieties of combos, some are great, some are not, but there's a lot of cool things out there. You know, do they really give a shit if we do that or not? That's kind of what I was thinking.
And you did the Sound City combos,
right,
but those aren't Fryette combos. They're incredible in like the direct lineage of like what would a high watt or a Sound City sound like in combo form, and
that's not even fully realized yet.
I really want to jump over and talk about those because I deeply love those amplifiers, but that's not what we're doing tonight. So I'm not gonna do it. Talking about a Fryette combo amp. And I do want to say this. I made most of my living on combo amps, and I'm here to talk to you about it the entire time. And you also have other great people locally who play combos. who will come in and listen to this shit and give you feedback, who live in that land. Maybe a guy, I don't know, you might have heard of him, like Michael Landau, I think his name is.
Heard of him, yeah.
Yeah. He might be able to give you feedback. You know what I mean? Like, we got you, man. I would be really excited to be around while you're working on this next adventure.
It's funny.
So, kind of when we were talking about let's do this episode on combo amps, we wanted to hear from you guys. Like, any thought whatsoever that you have about combo amps, you know? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Do you like multiple channels? Do you like, you know, what's the wattage range? Like, what do you use them for? Are they extinct in your life?
I think these super multi-feature little combo amps, I think that kind of defeats the whole concept of a combo.
Dude, I agree.
The way I understand it, because a combo amp by itself is a thing of compromises. And the thing that makes a super versatile amp sound good is that if you can make it sound good at low volumes, you got that going. And if it sounds convincing at high volumes with good overdrive, then you got that. But a combo amp typically is a small little amp with a small amount of power and a single speaker, and that combination doesn't have the breadth, the dynamic range, and the tonal breadth to do all of those things that a bigger amp that can do a lot of things does. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
I
do.
There's going to be limitations, and so many companies have tried to overcome the limitations by, using high power in a little box. That always makes the clean sound brittle and useless.
Right.
Other things that have been tried are like putting a tube amp in the upper cavity of a combo box, and the speaker it's in its own isolated cavity, so it's
the Bogner Shiva.
So it's like the speaker's in a sealed cabinet, and the problem with that is a small little box like that with an isolated speaker chamber. Now it's got more pieces of wood. This is really simple. There's nothing scientific about this. It's got more pieces of wood. It's got more structural reinforcement as a result of the fact that it's small. So the pieces of wood that go to make a combo box, there's more of it, and there's more structural reinforcement so that box doesn't breathe, and it takes on more of the characteristic of a hi-fi cabinet. And so they sound stiff. They may sound woofy, like big on the bottom end, but not big in a holistic way. It's just sort of, they punch some bottom end, but it's not musically connected to the low mids and the upper mids.
About the Shiva, man.
That's just the drawback of trying to make a thing do too many things in this small box. You're going to push it one way in a corner, or you're going to push it another direction in a corner. Like the ether amp doesn't have any overdrive. You can overdrive it. You can turn it up until the power amp is kind of about ready to give up. And we used a reinforced speaker cone. It's an Alnico speaker, but we used a reinforced cone in it so that it wouldn't completely fart out on the low end when you lay into it. Yeah. But it's only 25 watts. And it's got a relatively big cabinet, but it has thin pieces on the back, so it's a relatively resonant box. It isn't intended to do a bunch of different things sort of well. It's intended to do one stellar thing.
And that's the ticket, right? Is when you were designing the ether, you weren't trying to make it something other than what it
was going to be, right?
So get rid of that.
Right.
I'm trying to make a half-step killer.
So we go back. If we go back and talk about the Hot Rod Deluxe, it's Nobody likes the overdrive sound in that amp.
Oh, it's useless. It's fucking
And yet
useless.
it's probably one of Fender's most popular selling amplifiers.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I don't know. Tell me what you think of this. Like what your response is to this. Part of the point of using a combo amp, like I've told you for years, is I used to do so many freaking gigs that, you know, like different from what you were doing, where it's like, man, like how often would you gig? Was it once a week, twice a month?
Depend on the era. There was a period when I was, gigging 6 nights a week.
Interesting. Well, I went through that period too. It was with all sorts of different bands and all sorts of different, it was like a different room every night. And a part of, like a big goal of the gig was, dude, like parking is ass. We're playing in a ballroom in this hotel way the hell up. I want to have my amp in one hand, my pedal board in another, and my 2 guitar gig bag over one shoulder. And I get up there and we can mic the stupid amp, get it big in the room. I can be fine. And I want it to sound great. And what worked in that for most of those years was my little 1965 Deluxe Reverb. And so I was using pedals into that. I wasn't, and also because I was playing in these jobbing bands, I wasn't right hand sweeping them. I had to be, like my stage volume had to be controlled, and then I was like, the PA was my power station. That's what made me big out front. So, so anyhow, I think a big part, what I'm asking you is, or what I'm telling you, is that as a person who lived in that world, in the combo world forever, the combo world for me was a pedal board based world where the amplifier was amplifying what was happening on my pedal board.
I think you just tapped into where my little roadblock is, my mental block.
Cool.
It's because I'm not.
You never lived there.
No. And so I'm not. I have an expectation level that I've set for anything that's got to stand on its own. It's got to do its job well. And I'm not depending on the end user's other accessories that they have to finish the job.
Yeah.
I don't want that. But at the end of the day, they want that because they've got all that other territory worked out, because everybody has these pedal boards and I use this for clean, I use this for the chorus, and blah 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 blah, and I don't necessarily need blah 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 blah. Maybe there's still
it's not really inspiring for you to design for, is it?
It kind of isn't. It kind of the more I think about it, the more I go back and look at the Pitbull 45 and say, at the end of the day, that's one of the most versatile and functional amps that we made, that sold really well and didn't have a shit ton of features. It just had 2 really good channels, and the clean. It's really funny.
Okay, I love this.
Who's the our guy that to this day plays the Pitbull 45?
Local?
Yeah,
Not Ito.
No, Ito's one. The guy in Pasadena. The guy that lives in Pasadena.
Ken Rosser?
Ken Rosser.
Yeah. Ken and Ito, both
Ken
diehards.
Ken has had that. He's had that amp 20 years easy.
It's a VHT, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a 45 combo. And he has bought numerous combo of the day, hot new combo that just came out, blah, blah, blah. He's bought so many different things.
Yeah. Tone King at one point.
Yeah, and all kinds of stuff. And he keeps...
Ken plays a lot of different music.
Yeah.
Super versatile.
All kinds of different
Super
stuff.
eclectic.
Yeah.
Great fucking musician,
and
guitar player.
And he brings it in once a year to get some maintenance done on it and stuff. And he primarily uses the clean.
Yeah. He uses his Pitbull 45 the way I was going to say. I actually had a Mesa Mark III for a number of years that I bought it on a lark. I got an insane deal on it.
I'll be right back. I'm listening.
I needed a high wattage combo because I was doing these jazz gigs where I needed like super clean, super high headroom stuff. And what I had, I think this is Joe's stupid way of dealing with amp problems at one point. My my super reverb was on the fritz. And so did I go get it fixed? No, I bought a Mark III instead. And at one point, my deluxe reverb went down one day, and I had a gig the next morning. I'm like, Mark III, come with me. And I wound up using that for like 5 years straight because the clean channel was actually really wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And I could get out of it like 90% of what I was getting out of my deluxe reverb with my pedal board. No effects loop, straight into the freaking clean channel. And that's how I used it. But then I could go in and do sessions and go, you know what? I want, for these tracks, I'm going to pull out my pedal board and I'm just going to use the amp raw and get into, the thicker overdrive shit that amp could do that I wasn't really using on the gig. I could use that in a studio situation. And I think the Pitbull 45, for me, it's a little bit like that. It's kind of like a deliverance. It's kind of like if you want to get into the saturation thing with this amp, it can do that.
I think what I tend to do is I think about how I use a big amp.
Okay.
And how I use it or want to use it is I want to push it because I like the way amps sound pushed. I especially like to terrorize little combos. My favorite little combos are the ones that you just, like I said, you just kick the shit out of them.
That was the Jimmy Page thing.
And
that's the DeLeo thing.
And the big amps, of course, you can't do that in a small room, and so the power station makes that possible. Any attenuator more or less makes that possible, but
yeah,
the power station makes that possible to get the amp where I want it and and to be able to dial the speaker behavior at that amp setting to where it sort of behaves the way it would if it was up loud. So I'm kind of, if I wasn't using the power station, I would prefer not to, because I would love to feel the feel and sound of the cabinet really getting pumped.
Yes.
That's the way I use gear. And so when I'm designing a little amp, I want to make sure that it sounds good the way I use it, which is probably not the way most people use it, which is pushing it out there.
Because I didn't learn to do that until I'd been playing for almost 20 years.
Yeah, and what I learned from the ether is you don't have to do that all the time, but I keep doing that. I keep turning it up to the point where that's my starting point. And then you know what? This amp doesn't really need to do that. But see, I don't not having that pedal board fallback.
Yes, because you were never a pedal board guy.
Yeah, so I guess I really am giving this a lot of thought, and I'm really vetting. I'm not vetting out designs. Here's what's going on with this show. You're not watching somebody vet out a design of an amplifier to build. You're watching somebody vet out the mindset of the people out there that are going to encounter this thing.
Yeah.
And how they're going to react to it, or how they're going to not am I going to make something that everybody likes? I would never even attempt to do something like that. That's not my goal, to say I want to do a poll and I'm going to take everybody's opinions and I'm going to what everybody likes I'm going to put in no. What I think I'm doing is I'm fleshing out the environment in which a new thing that we come out with gives people something to take somewhere and use a certain way, the way you're used to using an amplifier, the way you're used to doing it, using it for your gigs or your home environment or whatever, but have it be a new playing experience, not just, well, the things are different now than when we were making combos before, and everybody's going to want IRs in it. Is everybody going to want an IR in a combo? Really? I don't know. I don't. Part of me thinks just put them in there. The other part of me goes, who needs it? You know, I've talked to
Well,
somebody.
I feel like we all have load box. We all have power stations, and we all have PLIRs. Like, I don't need it in the amp because I already have products that do that. But maybe I'm just spoiled.
But I'm just going through the whole gamut of paths that could go down, and the more that I do that, I try to eliminate the ideas that I think are pandering.
But how do you do that if you're building something that isn't coming from your particular need?
Yeah, that's exactly
And that's the rub, right?
You just put your finger right on it.
Because I don't think you've ever done that. Everything you've ever built, well, correct me if I'm wrong, everything you've ever designed has been, oh, this is my mindset. If I'm using this, this is what I want it to do.
A direct result of what I need it to do.
Yeah. And this is almost like a thought experiment, like, this isn't necessarily for me, or at least at this point, what we're discussing. To be like, well, how do I wrap myself around this one? Because you don't want to pander, or it just becomes, well, put these tubes in it in the speaker and put it in the side's cab, and, you know, just making a grab bag of what people say is cool. Right?
Yeah, yeah. And see, so something that would just be like an elemental amp. I mean, and what I mean by elemental amp is an amp that has a good range of sound qualities that will get you from here to here, and like you said, the pedals can fill in the gap. All right, so why would that, for example, need to have MIDI switching? Because there isn't enough going on for it to there isn't enough going on in a potential product like that, a potential amplifier like that, for MIDI to have anything legit to do, unless you just want to have it switch channels.
Yeah, right.
Really, what do you need 128 presets to switch two channels for?
MIDI to me is like for a Mark 7.
Yeah, right? But I think, you know, it's funny about MIDI. I just noticed somebody making a comment about MIDI. And it's funny about MIDI is because they're two distinctly different people. There's the guys that everything should have MIDI because I have a MIDI controller and I know how to use a MIDI controller, and I build rigs with that shit, and I just wanted everything to be in that system, right? Yeah, and I know it's only switching two things, but it's the two things that I need to switch, so that when I switch these other 5 things over here, it switches the amp as part of that process. It's all done from the MIDI switcher. Yeah, that's why I need MIDI. But that's like, I need a key ring that's got 47 keys on it. I only have my car key and my front door key that I actually use. But
let's ask.
I want to have enough room on the keychain, on the key ring, to put 50 keys, because I might use one of them someday.
But this is interesting because page 232, who talked about the MIDI switching, said, but I wanted 2 channels and a reverb and an effects loop. Okay. So my question to you is, can you accomplish the switching with that with just a regular, just a 2-button switch? You know?
Yeah, we've been around and around with this with reverb and an effects loop specifically. We've always had a foot switchable effects loop.
Right.
Most people don't use it.
Right.
We've always had foot switchable reverb. Almost nobody uses it. In fact, usually when I tell, like, the Ether, one of the Ether owners contacted us last week about some minor issue, and Oh, he asked what the jack on the underside of the
Oh,
chassis
yeah,
in the
yeah.
back was for.
Yeah.
I said, "Well, that's tremolo for switch jack." He, oh, I forgot all about that. I
Mhm.
forgot you could turn the tremolo on and off, and because nobody uses it. Um, but nobody turns the
Although somebody should explore that.
nobody turns reverb off.
No. You know who did at one point? Okay. You know what, Steve? I just remembered. I used to do that. I actually went through a period where I did that. And it was Wayne Kranz who inspired me to do that. And I learned later on that what he had was a little stupid mini quadriverb that he would turn on and off. He got rid of his delay. But what I had my original foot switch for that deluxe reverb. It's a it's a 2 button switch.
Yeah,
There's the vibrato and the reverb.
yeah.
And I would do that for an effect.
Uh,
I got super minimal at one point.
mm,
I used to like, which is, God, this was me being young and stupid. I would hold almost every gig that I was doing hostage with whatever stupid idea I had about gear was at the moment. Even if it made no sense for the music. It's like, all I'm doing, I'm plugging my 64 Strat into my 65 Deluxe Reverb, and the only effects I'm using is what I can get out of the amp. And I would be super dry, and then I had the reverb pretty wet, and then I would turn that on as my effect. So I did that for a while, but nobody else does that.
yeah.
Um, question for you. Could you do an ether, but like at a lower price point in one box that's sort of that ethos? Or what would that look like?
Yeah, well, that is that's a side discussion which we're actually having too, because that's something that, well, the ether is funny because it was never intended to actually even be a production amplifier. That was just a lark, and we ended up making a production amplifier out of it. So after it started regularly getting reordered, I started thinking just what you're asking. Could we expand? I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about anymore. You know what? Somebody mentioned that I must be really busy. Yeah, I am. We've got enough new product designs in the works right now.
You see, Beamer, the ether is for dentists. Unfortunately, yeah, you're right. I mean, the price point,
Yeah.
it puts it there, and I think we all agree on that. So
I have enough design projects, enough new product development designs in development right now to keep me busy for the next 2 years. And that doesn't include anything that we're talking about right now. But it doesn't mean that those things don't potentially happen either, because that's the great thing about ADHD is you just keep those balls in the air. And
nope, this is the shiny one today.
Yeah,
this is what we're doing. Let's go.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I embrace that because I don't have any other choice. It just happens that everything isn't linear like with designs. They run into roadblocks. They run into engineering challenges. They run into economic circumstances. They run into market changes, music business changes. You run into all these kinds of things when you conceptualize something. If you don't do it, if you come up with an idea for a product and you don't do it in 6 weeks, the world could be different in 6 months.
I've seen you do it both ways.
Yeah.
I've seen you have an idea and it's ready in 6 weeks. And I've seen you have this idea, you're incredibly psyched, and it's like, shit, we can't do it because A, B, C, D, E.
Right.
And you're like,
right.
oh, and then, 7 months later, we're like, what was that idea again?
So that's why they're on a whiteboard, and that's why they're all in continual development simultaneously, but it's not that we're working on all of them at the same time. It's just, it's like, it's like if you took just a bunch of checkers, and lined them all up, and you have 10 of them. And on Tuesday, this one gets pushed forward, and on Thursday, that one gets pushed forward,
Mhm.
and you just keep doing
Mhm.
this, and each one of them finds this little inflection point where you can go, oh, I can get right to the finish line
Totally.
with this one.
And I've been around the company long enough to see that happen. And sometimes there'll be this period of time where you're watering this plant, and then eventually one breaks through the line and is going through the end zone, and you're like, oh, that's the one now.
Yeah, right.
And these all have to like kind of get relegated because, oh shit, we're able to get all of the components, the design came together, like we're going, and you break through the line for a 60-yard run.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Like I think the Cyclops was kind of like that.
The Cyclops is totally like that. And there's a new product coming out called the Valvulator Mini that actually I completely conceived of it and designed it and fleshed out the chassis and everything in less than 2 weeks. And that was 6 months ago. And all that other time has been absorbed in higher priorities that have taken over. But it pops up and gets pushed forward another step.
Mm-hmm.
Like I built 30 of them.
Yeah.
Did I give you one yet?
No.
See,
don't have one.
That's part of the problem. There aren't enough people helping me keep all those balls in the air. So for example, the beta ones, we made the 30 beta ones so everybody could, you could dole them out. We could dole them out and
Test them.
just get a little bit of feedback on them. And I haven't given you one. I thought I did. So
I didn't know, but I haven't been
gotta,
at the shop for a while.
Well, you have to pester me because I have them built.
Great.
And
I'll be there at some point this week.
Yeah. So, I gave one to Jürgen in Germany. He says,
Great.
"Oh yeah, I'll check it out right away." And that was about a month and a half ago.
Oh shoot.
And he says, "Well, I found it." He lost it. He lost it, and then he found it. So okay, that's progress.
It's super cool. I mean, I've seen the dummy up. I've held like, was it the what do you call it? The first article?
Yeah.
I think I held that in my hand.
Yeah.
It was like cool as shit.
Oh, the chassis is all done.
Yeah.
The top cover, the artwork, it's all done. Everything is all done.
Bitchin'.
But I've already made a little improvement on it. So that means that's why the beta ones have to get at least played by a couple of people so I can have somebody go.
And I also submitted the thing that I can't say out loud. I submitted the request to the company for the promo thing that you asked for. That's done.
Do any of you know what he's talking about? Because
I hope not.
I don't have any.
Well, you should know.
I'm still in construction contractor mode. Think 2x4, 2x6. What fir? What's the difference between fir and redwood?
Wait, are we talking about omelets now?
Omelets?
I really want an omelet right this second. All of a sudden, don't you? I see that word. Yeah, I haven't had an omelet in a long time. Yeah, I mean, that would be the awesome thing is like if the folks who lived here, Beamer saying, I'll play a beta one for you. That's the thing. It's like being local, right?
Yeah.
To be able to dole them out. Egg talk.
Egg talk.
Egg talk. Should we have a moment of egg talk? Let's see. We're an hour and 34 minutes in. We got 5 minutes for egg talk?
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
Egg talk. So eggnog? You a fan? Great or disgusting to you?
Oh
People
no,
tend to be kind of polarized.
I'm
Team eggnog?
I'm neutral on eggnog.
Interesting. I didn't know you could be neutral on eggnog. People are either like, that's like drinking snot, or that's just
When you put it that way, I can't even imagine drinking that. I used to drink.
I love the nog myself. I love it.
I loved it when I was a kid.
Yeah,
it's
a super nostalgic thing.
yeah.
Ooh, an English muffin egg sandwich. That sounds awesome.
Okay, so English muffin egg sandwich
Okay, we got a yes to
the
nog.
shit. Yeah, yeah.
Eggs in a basket. Has anybody had a what's it called? A bird's nest. My mom used to make them, and then I used to make them for my kids. It's like a sunny side up egg, but you put it inside two pieces of toast, and then you cut out the middle, so the middle of the two pieces of toast are hollowed out.
Oh
The
yeah.
yolk's just in there. So you have like your eggs and sunny side up in one little.
Oh,
Yeah, it's awesome. That's the same thing as eggs in basket. Okay, great. I thought that's what you meant. That's why I brought it up. The latest egg slogan in Canada is if you have eggs, you have dinner. Hell yeah. I love Canada and Canadians. Sorry, Toronto, for the World Series. I don't want to be a dick. Hey, look at this, Steve. Look at my desktop. Do you remember this moment? Do you remember that moment?
no.
Okay.
Oh,
World
wait a
Series
minute.
moment on my desktop.
Is that the?
That was when Robleski pitched to Jimenez, and Jimenez like stuck his hand out and got hit and acted like, "What are you doing trying to hit me?" And Robleski's
Oh,
like, "Fuck you, motherfucker! I'm not trying to hit you. You're the ninth batter up. Like, what are we talking about?" And you should be proud of your Jays. They're an incredible team. They're an incredible organization. And you know, the main thing that I thought in Game 7 was it's freaking sucks that one team has to lose this game. And that's honestly what I thought.
yeah. That was
You watched the whole World
that
Series,
was
right?
that was pretty fantastic. But
Oh my God, they
I got to
did.
admit, my favorite moment was, "You okay, bro? Fuck that! Do we have the ball?" That just encapsulated the whole thing. For
That
me.
was my favorite moment too. When Pages trucks.
Are you
TK.
okay, bro?
Oh my God. Actually, I bought a shirt of the catch. And oh, look.
Oh, great, great.
That's the wallpaper of my phone.
Well, you got to share that. That's good.
This needs to go away.
Uh,
Well, our Canadian fans won't like it. That's my. That's my favorite moment. Okay, so any other egg talk?
you know that if you have a leaky radiator, you can crack an egg and put it in a radiator,
I did not know that.
and the whites will break apart and go down and temporarily plug a leak.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
I remember my father telling me that in Vietnam, they would break eggs on the top of Jeeps and fry eggs on the top of Jeeps just in the morning sun. Oh, I'm sure, Steve. I'm sure. But you know what? You've kicked our ass for 10 years straight, okay? So enjoy your Super Bowls and your AFC West dominance. And here we are now. All due respect. Wow. So you can I could have really stood to know that trick on I-70 in Colorado in the year 2001 when I blew up my entire engine because my radiator had a pinhole leak in it. Yeah. Let's see. Any other egg lagniappe?
I got on a whiskey sour kick recently, and whiskey sour has egg white in it, and the first time I had a whiskey sour, it was really good, and I thought, "Oh, this is good." And then one time I asked for one, and the bartender said, "With or without egg white?" And I didn't. I thought whiskey sour, it has egg white. Why would you ask if it's, so it's like, Yeah, I'd like a deliverance. Would you like that with or without power tubes? You know, I mean, so I just went, really? Can it still be a whiskey sour without egg whites? He goes, oh yeah, we do it all the time. I went, all right, let's try it. And I tried it, and now I drink it all the time without egg whites.
Interesting.
Just has a little bit of a different. Well, to me, anything with lemon and lime in it, lemon or lime, is great. So whiskey sour, I use lemons and whiskey and a little simple syrup. And for gimlets, it's lime and gin and a little simple syrup. And of course,
A little simple syrup.
you know, anything that's a lemon or a lime and a simple syrup, and then your alcohol of choice, which is going to be gin, whiskey, tequila, you know, a margarita, whatever. Those I seem to gravitate towards those refreshing drinks. And you know, egg-based stuff, I think I like scrambled eggs.
I was just gonna say, Steve, scrambled eggs, bro.
Yeah, just straight up scrambled egg, salt and pepper.
Come on.
Leave me alone.
Oh my god.
And you better and don't get too precious with it. Just, you know.
But they're also a great platform for sauce. So what you just said is amazing.
Why do scrambled eggs work so great with Tabasco?
Tabasco.
It's just
Or I love truff hotter sauce these days. Or there's a, what's it called?
like page 230. So amps.
Yeah, you know, that's fair. That's fair. Amanda, my dad used to make milkshakes with eggs in it too. I remember that. So amps. When I want here, let's throw that up because we should probably take an amp question. And now the camera's in the way. So amps. When I want big clean headroom, I go for my 100-watt head. Good idea. What I want from a combo is lightweight and a nice drive character. Okay. That sounds like more of a statement than a question, right? I think that that's great.
Well, I think I'm just starting to get my psyche wrapped around the combo concept again, and like I do with everything, I overthink it when I've got the thing right in my hand in front of me, but I go all around it overthinking it until I go, what the hell am I doing? It's not a big leap to get there. It's just it's just that I'm going to approach it a little differently this time because of, I think it's really just going to be practical considerations like size and weight. I'm going to want to be able to make the cabinet have a resonance that is suitable to that kind of a format, which is easy to do. The smaller you make the box, the harder it is to do, but it's still doable. And the speaker, of course, is critical. And I've never met a combo with a Celestian in it that I liked, because that's just a different kind of a thing that I don't think it's.
Man, that's interesting that you said that.
It's not an all around. It's not a no brainer for me. It's the speaker is so critical because it has to. You know what's really intense about a speaker in a combo is not how well it works with overdrive or how well it works with clean. It's how well it works with the reverb. The speaker is key to making the reverb sound the right way. And
I've never heard anyone say that
yeah,
before.
Yeah.
But all I was going to say is I've never run any of my favorite combo amps with the Celestian ever.
Yeah.
That's never been a part of
Because the
equation.
reverb routinely, if you ever wonder why a Marshall with reverb sucks with its stock cabinet, what do they always have in them? Celestion speakers.
Yeah. Hey, just before I pull this off here, I just wanted to say, Paige talking about what they were looking at and being interested in. I almost feel the opposite of this. When I'm looking at combos, I want bigger, clean headroom. And if there's a second channel that can get me into a nice drive, then that's a bonus for me. But I guess that's the thing is,
You know, when we were
what are
doing
we using it for?
when we were
Who's
doing the
using it?
Pipple combos, and people ask me a lot about it, you know, how do you go about designing a combo? And I always say the overdrive is the easy part. All the energy and time and effort goes into the clean. And
I love hearing
uh,
that.
I think I think that I'm just, the more we talk, the more I just keep answering my own question, and there's a voice in the back of my head going, what the hell are you even talking about? You know how to do this. Why you, what are we manufacturing a show around some dilemma that doesn't really exist? Maybe. Maybe I'm just,
Maybe you're gaining confidence
yeah,
in that voice in the back of your head through the show that was already there
yeah, I think I'm
through
just
the
sort of
discussion. Like, yeah, actually, I did know.
working out the demons.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where you're going with it, but I'm
I don't know
excited
where
about it.
hey, I'm just rambling at this point. Just I'm wondering how many more 2x4s I'm gonna have to buy next week.
Um, I guess what's interesting to me is you have, like, in the last decade, there's been the Ether and there has been the Sound City combos.
All right, so Steven comes up and he throws cold water on the whole parade by saying, "Oh well, I have a Celestion in a combo. It's a Classic 80. That is the one Celestion speaker that actually works."
Will speak right.
Yeah,
I don't know that speaker.
yeah. A lot of people don't.
But Stephen would know.
Huh?
Stephen would know.
Yeah, yeah. It's we actually used the Classic 80 and the Pitbull 212 Classic combo.
Oh, okay.
And the reason for that was to make it sound more like a stack.
Okay, what are the characteristics of that speaker?
Well, it's not tubby on the bottom like a vintage 30.
Okay.
It has a nice clear open top end, unlike a vintage
reverb.
30. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
but it doesn't sound sterile because of the ultra detailed
it's
top.
a little on the sterile side, but in a higher powered amp that can push it a little bit, it's fine.
Ooh, actually, Stephen, I have a question for you. How are you running your, first of all, what combo are you running with that CL80? And what sort of stuff are you doing with that combo? Are you running a pedal board straight into it, or are you just plugging a guitar into the amp? I want to know where you're coming from tonally with that setup. CL80. Did you ever use that in any other amps?
Mm-mm. No, it sounds horrible in the 412 cab.
Huh.
Horrible.
It's like pancakes.
There are a lot of times when you want to do something that nobody's done before. You want to push the envelope. You want to break out of the box. You want to go someplace where people haven't gone before. And a combo amp is not one of them. They just have these essential characteristics, and I keep coming around back to them because they're just the most universal of concepts, which is they sound good at low volume, they sound good at high volume, the best ones. It doesn't necessarily matter what their tonal characteristic is like. It's just all they have to do is sound good at a low volume and sound good at a high volume. And they don't have to be super gain monsters, or super clean surfy amps. They just have to have the right elements of all of those things in the right degree like you said, you get them, you can get it up to a certain point. You can get a setting or a combination of settings where you can cover the general territory that you're trying to cover, and then you supplement that with your pedals and your your front of the amp effects and your the effects loop effects. And I think I think the important part about that is not how you do it, but that it is convenient and easy to do it.
You know what I just thought of? Here's another point. People who are looking
Oh, I thought you were
for
gonna have a huge brainstorm.
well, it is a little bit.
Oh, okay.
This is a really new thought to me.
Okay.
I hope I don't lose it. I'm about to fuck it up. People who are looking for extreme tone, like extreme gain, extreme big, extreme like we're playing music with the where the guitar is front and center and all up in your face and it's the full meal deal. You're not going to use a combo for that. You use combos, and obviously, you know, this is almost on the level of stereotype because as soon as I say this, people can chime in with like people who play through combos all the time and do really revolutionary, innovative shit. But in general, the combo is built for the person who's doing what I did forever, which was just playing jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going in there going, I'm putting my personal stamp on Raining Men tonight. Not.
Yeah.
I'm just playing the fucking rhythm part and, you know, play a solo and get paid and go home and I can pay my, you know, mortgage at the end of the month, that kind of thing. So what you said makes all the sense in the world. You're not going to break new ground with a combo. The point of a combo, it's actually what you said at the beginning. It is compromise. And the people who are out doing their tours, doing their music, breaking ground, playing big guitar shows, they can bring their full meal deal rigs out and it can look like this for crowds.
Yeah, there was a time when
Right.
there was a time when people experimented with combos and using more of them because they understood right off the bat that there was an essential thing a combo does that any other amp does not do. I think I always try to stay tapped into that. What is the best ones? What is their unique sort of consistent quality among the best ones? Not just
Should we
this
make a
one does
list of the
this,
best
this
ones?
one does this one does this, but they all have something in common, just like all half stacks have something in common. Right. What do little combos all have in common? And the best ones, the ones that you remember, the deluxe reverb, the tweed,
AC30,
the tweed champ.
the Tweed Champ.
They have this unique ability to sound raging even when they're clean, or sound clean when they're raging. They sort of blend the overdrive territory and the clean territory are not separate territories. They're simultaneous. They're both happening at the same time, and you're manipulating your way around that. The best ones allow you the ability to travel from the one extreme to the other extreme with the same settings.
Yeah.
Superchamp was great at that. You know, the amp that you could just you could set it in the overdrive mode and you could turn the guitar volume down and it would clean up enough. And the whole clean up enough concept is that when you tell when somebody says, yeah, it cleans up enough. Well, you know what? A Fender Twin cleans up enough.
Right.
It's a pretty dirty amp. It's got some exaggerated brightness, but it's still a pretty ratty sounding amp. It just fools you into
You don't
thinking
have to have that brightness too.
That's
you don't
right.
have to have that bright switch.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the early Steve Miller Band, he was experimenting with stuff all the time, and this is before the Fly Like an Eagle period. This is more like the early,
When he was blues guitar player
the
guy.
Children of the Future era, where he was really experimental and doing some very cool things. And I heard that he had done some shows where he like used 20 Princetons.
Hey, by the way, you know the guitar that he's playing on the cover of Fly Like an Eagle?
No.
It's a black Strat. I think it's a rosewood board, and it's flipped upside down.
Mm.
That guitar. Jimi Hendrix ordered that guitar
Mm.
and died before he could take delivery of it.
Oh, really?
And Steve wound up with it. Pretty freaking cool.
Oh, I love trivia like that.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Of course, the first time I saw Queen, Brian May had what, 6 or 8 AC30s.
Yeah.
And to me, that was a statement. It's like, well, yeah, I like these little amps. When I was starting to transition into guitar, there was a couple of guitar players around Seattle area that were guys that were experimenting and changing stuff all the time. And I would talk to them, well, why do you keep changing your, every time I see you play, you're using a twin, you're using an AC30, you're using the Marshall half stack, you're using this. You says, well, I don't know. I just haven't, I'm always experimenting. I really don't know what is perfect for me yet. I'm just trying different things. I'm just in the mood to play AC30s now for a while. And so it was almost like a fashion statement. And people weren't buying all the different amps that they liked because they didn't have the money to do it. So this one particular guy, he would have a rig for 6 months to a year. And then after that, he would have a different rig.
Jettison that, and then it's a whole new thing.
Yeah. And then we'd go for a while. And then after 2 or 3 other changes, he'd be back to the AC30. Oh, did you decide you like the AC30 back? No, I'm just in the mood for the AC30 now.
Yeah.
And that's the way that people used to sort of make the transition from different kind of stylistic things, whatever band the guy was playing it at the time or whatever. But there was this recognition that the AC30 had these qualities, and one of them is that you would turn it up to a certain level, and at a comfortable level, it would start to get this overdriven sound, same as the Deluxe. They weren't the same overdriven sound, but it was the same enough. And I went into Guitar Center in Hollywood 3 or 4 years ago, and they had an Esquire in there that was really nice. It was a
an old one,
52, I think.
Not a custom shop.
No.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, it was an insane amount of money. And they had a brown Princeton in there, and I went, I would love to hear what that guitar would sound like through that brown. And I swear to God, I almost took a loan against the house to buy that combination after I heard it, because it just sat me on my ass. It sounded like I was playing a Les Paul Jr. through a JTM 45 half stack. And it was an Esquire through this brown Princeton. It killed. I went like this, and it went ka-yang, the perfect kind of ka-yang you could ever imagine. And I just went, wow, I don't need it. If I had that right now and we were having this discussion, I could just pick up that guitar and plug it in an amp and go like this. And I say, okay, that's what the perfect combo should sound like. And with that, yes, I would absolutely put a delay pedal and a boost, not an overdrive, just a boost. I would boost it more, and that would get me through the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really a super high gain player, although I do like a lot of gain when I like a lot of gain. When do you not like a lot of gain?
Well, here's another thing too that we haven't discussed at all. That's when you plug in your other goddamn amp.
Yeah.
It does that, right? Which I think is the idea with like the ether or whatever. Like, this is a dish that I prepared for you, and then the deliverance is another dish. And what you're talking about is, I'm not going to do like an amplifier that's the entire buffet, because then you wind up being, Golden Corral or whatever.
Yeah, I like this. I like this watermark comment. You run what you brung.
I love that.
Yeah.
I try and live that way.
You know what? You can. You just
You
don't.
really can. And you know, this falls in line with something that I'm always laying on people. I probably said it on the show. It's that greatness, when you're in front of greatness, it hypnotizes you into thinking that's the way.
Mm.
So when you're watching incredible players, it doesn't like it, and I always use the examples of Bill Frisell versus Yngwie Malmsteen. It couldn't be any more different. But you could watch one of them on one night and go, "Oh my God, that's the answer. That's the way." You know, Bill Frisell, slow hand, plays,
Mm.
you know, guitar into little combos.
Hey, I was
Yngwie, Strat into, you know,
Yeah.
giant, you know, full stacks, whatever. And when you watch them, you leave each show, you're like, oh, that's the way you should do it. And it's the same thing with tone production. If you see a great player, you really could go, oh, I need that freaking Peavy, like something fierce.
Yeah,
Let
right.
me get on eBay and get one here tomorrow,
The
thinking
Decade.
that's the secret.
I need
Yeah,
that
the
decade. I need that
Yeah,
bad. I
yeah.
need that $200 amp to be
It
a $2,000
hypnotizes you.
amp now.
yeah, and you think that's the answer.
I was at a party a few years ago at a friend's house, and he was just having a little casual party with us. It was a small group of friends, and he had a few amps over there, and you could just go pick up a guitar and fiddle around with whatever whenever you were in the mood. And he had a couple of things, couple of boutique amps, and he had this little thing called a Monoprice, which is this Chinese brand. They make all kinds of different
wait,
things.
you told me about that.
Yeah, I mean, they make all kinds of different products, the amplifier stuff, you know, little amps and pedals, and it's just the stuff is just really, really cheap.
Do they sell eggs?
They probably have Monoprice eggs. They probably have catalytic converters. I mean, it's just one of these companies that are kind of are image.
Don't leave. We have Tabasco sauce for you. Don't leave. We have screws. Don't leave. Thumbtacks. Yeah, we got those too.
Just
Yeah.
some company that
Stamps,
doesn't
you
really
need
have
stamps?
any kind of an identity.
Yeah.
Could just be anything. But the guy who threw the party, he's a guitar builder, but he bought this amp. He goes, oh, $99 for a 20-watt tube combo? That can't sound any good. But he bought it because it was $99 to see. And he had just gotten it. And so it was sitting there. And so I was checking out one of his guitars, and I was kind of goofing around, and another guy grabbed a guitar, and we started playing and messing around and stuff. And we were just having a lot of fun. And after that, the guy came over to me, the guy who made the guitars came over to me, and he goes, you sounded really good through that. And he pointed to the boutique amp that was right next to the Monoprice. He says, you sounded really good through that. And I said, I'm actually playing through that. And he goes, the Monoprice, you're playing through the wait a minute. And he follows the guitar cable from my guitar to the amp. And he goes, I thought you were playing through that. I said, no, I'm playing through this. He goes, wait a minute, there's something's wrong here. And I swear, I just turned it on and I tweaked a couple of knobs and I just started playing. What do I know? And he's like, oh man, I'm going to have to look into this a lot more because I thought you were playing through that $3,000 amp. And I just went, that was really funny. I kind of really cracked up because
I love that.
he got turned into a pretzel. He thought
I love that.
I think part of it he was surprised that I would play through the super cheapy thing. But it's just kind of my personality. Oh, well, let's see what it does.
Right.
You know, I knew what the other stuff was.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I'm certainly not this kind of person. Oh, I would never plug into a thing like that. No, I'll plug into any old thing and play it until smoke comes out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of like the early days of me doing sessions. When I started being able to get my hands on some really cool gear, because I had a friend who basically owned a guitar shop and, you know, had owned a gear museum, like all the great vintage stuff. And he was very, very kind to me. He let me borrow anything I wanted to do sessions. And what I learned from all of that was, okay, cool. This is what I sound like with all the greatest stuff in the world, and I need to freaking practice. That was really it. Like, okay, great. That was great to get that sort of, you know, when you're coming up and you're like, you're listening to all the great guys and you're like, if I only had.
You know, it's really funny you should say that, because there was a time that I was doing this original project and I was really trying to refine my sound. And I was using 2 high watt half stacks, 2 DR103s, 2 412 cabs.
The 103s are the 100 watts.
Yeah.
Jesus, Steve. It's heavy artillery, bruh.
I wasn't for volume, it was for breadth. I liked that it was wide, and I liked the way that it looked. I mean, that's always me with the gear. It's got to look cool, and that looked cool. And the producer of the guy that was going to be the producer of the record that we were working on, Joe Ciccarelli, serious producer, good guy, great ear, great guitar ear, and unflinching kind of a person. Tell you exactly what you think. He wasn't one of these guys that, oh yeah, it's Steve, you sound really good. You're like, what the fuck are you doing over there? He was one of those kind of guys. I gelled with him perfectly because he didn't give me, you know,
East Coast energy.
You know, unvarnished. It was great.
Yeah.
And so he didn't analyze or nitpick my sound, but he says, you have to try playing through a Marshall half stack.
Okay.
Which was Joe talk for, I don't really like the high watt sound.
Right, sure.
He didn't say, he would say, what is that, if he heard something wrong. It wasn't that he was hearing something wrong, so he wasn't criticizing the sound that I had. He was just suggesting that maybe for what it seems like you're trying.
Not quite working for me.
I don't know if it was him. I think that he's on a higher level than that. He's more on the level of, I am sensing from this person that they're trying to reach something that they maybe are not reaching, and maybe I can make a suggestion.
Yeah.
So I think it was more in that direction of, have you tried? I see what you're trying to get. I see what you're shooting for. Yeah. Have you tried doing it this way? And I said, well, you know, I have, but it's been a while. Maybe I should try revisiting that. And so I went and bought I actually went and bought 2 heads and 2 slant cabinets. There was a store in the area called.
Wait a minute! While you were in the middle of doing this record, you went and did this?
Well, it was pre-production. We were rehearsing the songs.
Oh, and he's coming in and listening to what you're doing, and oh, okay.
And so I went to this local shop that was. They were bringing in. He would go to England and buy all the used Marshalls that he could get.
How much could you buy a mid-70s JMP for at that point?
Yeah, I mean, that was like $400. So I bought 2 JMPs and 2 slant cabinets. I had been actually doing some buying and selling of my own, you know, so I just went over and grabbed 2 of those so that I could have 2 half stacks, and I brought those to rehearsal, and everybody liked that too. And I said, so what do you think of that? And he goes, well, that sounds good too. He didn't say that sounds better or you're getting closer. It was just like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. And so I went, well, you know what? I know a guy that's got 2 AC30s. So I called him up and I said,
name's George.
I said, you have 2 AC30s, right? And he goes, yeah. I said, I'd like to borrow both of them. And he goes, why both? And I said, because I want to hear 2 similar AC30s at the same time. It wasn't even about stereo. I just was used to using 2 amps, and I like the spread.
Sure.
So I said, I need to hear 2 side by side. And he says, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. So I brought a day later, I brought 2 AC30s, and everybody was like, "Yeah, that sounds good too." Nobody said that's better, or that's a huge improvement, or that's bad. It was just like, "Oh yeah, that's which one are you going to use?"
Yeah, because you were playing through all three.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
It's you operating.
The songs that we were working on,
Yeah.
and the instrument that I was using, and my approach and all that. It turned out that I felt the same way that the guys in the band did, which was any one of these rigs would be just effing fine, and I would be totally happy with any of them. And uh, I ended up using the Marshalls for about 2 years, and then and I was already in the process of starting the company at that time, so
Oh, okay.
I never went back to the. I always had a high watt laying around in a cab, but I didn't go back to high watts because I didn't go back to anything at that point. I went.
It reminds me of that old the Chet Atkins deal of
Yeah,
playing the guitar in front of the interviewer, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Wow, that guitar really sounds good." And
Yeah.
Chet goes, "Oh yeah," puts the guitar on
Yeah,
the stand.
how's
And
it
goes,
sound
"How's
now?"
it sound now? I sound good.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Do you
I-
feel like you're getting what you needed out of this combo amp therapy session?
I don't know. I'm gonna let it do this.
Maybe he tells us all in the morning, like, "Fuck it, I'm not doing it. Combos are stupid."
Yeah, I'm gonna make a little. I'm gonna make a little plug-in that sounds like Eddie Van Halen, and it can also double as an earring.
You are my friend. That was funny. All right. Well, we're up over 2 hours. We didn't answer any questions.
We answered some questions.
Yeah,
Actually, I was
great.
just sort of cherry picking some of the comments
true.
that I thought were
Apologies for not being super interactive.
yeah. Well, actually,
You all did really help, I think.
yeah, I was
with
going to say thank you very much for being,
drawing out of him.
dragging it out and giving
Yeah.
me a sounding board to bounce shit off of, because boy, you know what I think most of what this dynamic is about right now is that standing on the roof of a house under construction for a week when what I should be doing is what I do, that was really kind of talk about getting yanked out of your zone.
I enjoyed the egg talk, and then as long as there's MIDI on the next pit bull.
Of that, I can assure you that you have no worries in that department. And actually, I had a good time doing that history, the Friday history too. It was really funny because we had planned on doing that.
Well, the whole thing actually happened because Nico-chan, or Eriko, aka Nico-chan, had the idea and was saying that, we still get these questions about, yeah. Oh, Nico-chan's slight return. About, the VHT Fryette, and it was like, we should do a video where that gets clarified. And I think it was at the end of the day, I was at the shop one day. I was, "Hey, you want to do this?"
And I was in a crotchety mood.
Like,
Stop.
And I remember going, "Hey, we don't have to do it today if you don't want to." And you're like, "Look, if we don't do it today, we're going to have to do it another day.
Yeah.
So let's just do it today." And I just set up the camera. We didn't even discuss it. I don't think you thought about it. You just grabbed the Esquire and went.
Yeah, I
And
didn't
it came in like right at an hour.
here's what I thought just before the camera went on. Get this motherfucker over with so I can get on with my work. I kind of muttered it under my breath even, but I don't think he heard me say that. All he heard was,
"Oh, I knew he wanted that. I mean, I know you well enough to know. Like, we're just trying." And the thinking also was, if this sucks today, we'll do it on another day. Like, you can bail on it if it sucks.
yeah.
But
See,
I
think I had the attitude that there was no way that it was going to be any better if I think about it anymore. I think it was just another thing that I had to do, and if I have to keep thinking about it, I'm not going to have the bandwidth to think about it anyway. So the next time you ask me about it, I will be in the same spot a week later that I am in right now. I won't have had any clarity, any time to think about anything. And I was thinking, if I did have the time to think about it, by the time the camera started rolling, I would forget everything that I thought about anyway.
Sure.
So I just went,
Because it's a lot.
let's just start the camera rolling and see how far I get before I implode. And then when you said, okay, we're all done, I was dumbstruck. I went,
I love
Oh?
that. I love that. And so the final chapter will come out, I think, on Wednesday.
I love White Album. The egg thing is exploding. What's your favorite album in?
I am the Eggman.
The White Album, of course. Okay, you guys, you got us with the
Pine grows on trees. We love you guys. This is the best. And like everyone says, yeah, Amanda, you should definitely be the whatever everybody says you should be. What do we just don't know what it is. You should be the, it's not, what is it? It's like a moderator, proctor, what people are in chats, but I don't know what it is or how to do it or what the hell you do. And Amanda, I think you said that you don't know what it would even be, but you're a little bit like the mascot of the show because everybody loves you. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Because I watch it. I watch the interaction, and everybody seems to sort of gravitate towards that. And Den Mother, I like that.
Den Mother, MC, Vibe Setter. These are all great. Maybe your title could change.
Mother
episode.
Amanda.
Yeah. So, all right.
Well, it was great hanging out with everybody.
Yeah,
thanks
absolutely.
for joining us, and
Great hanging out with you, Steve.
well, likewise.
And
You want to go up on the roof afterwards?
yeah, let's go do some roof experiments.
All right. Thanks for hanging, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and hopefully we've got something entertaining to talk about. And if not, we'll be here anyway.
Yeah, that sounds good. And that's it.